The Makeover Challenge is all about putting someone in drag. This is something that's been a part of the drag scene ever since it began. Drag houses, drag mothers, these are all things that drag is all about. But how did it go so wrong? The Makeover Challenge should be something that we look forward to every season, but instead, it's something that sometimes we dread. Today, we'll be counting down the top 9 most robbed Makeover Challenge wins. It's widely known by the Drag Race fandom that the Makeover Challenge is the most rigged challenge of all. Sometimes the judges are looking for the queens to look identical to their makeover partner, other times the judges are looking for the queens to not be identical. There are truly no rules. But if you're not favored by production, odds are that you're going to end up in the bottom during the Makeover Challenge. For today's list, I'll be including any queen who deserved to win the challenge but had that win robbed. For that reason, you won't be seeing Dakota Schiffer on this list. She had a great look and definitely shouldn't have gone home, but there was no way she would have beaten Cheddar Gorgeous's winning look. That's a story for another video. Let's dive into the list. You'll notice a trend with my list. The ones that I'm putting on the list are the queens that I think truly created a drag family resemblance. What I mean by that is that they didn't settle for just 2 identical looks, rather they created 2 similar looks that came from the same house. That's why at number 9 I have Ginger Johnson from UK Series 5. For this makeover challenge, the queens had to make over LGBTQ switchboard operators. And at this point in the competition, Ginger was far and away the front runner. She had 3 wins, and no one else was even close to matching her total. The winner of the challenge, though, ended up being Michael Maruli, who won with 2 solid, if identical looks. Ginger, however, created 2 looks that weren't identical, but had similar styles and used the same pattern. This led to a much more interesting transformation, and that's all without mentioning the amazing makeup work that she gave to her partner as well. However, there were 2 main reasons why Michael won over Ginger. First, they needed to make it less obvious that Ginger was going to be the winner of the season, so they had to level the playing field by giving Michael some of the wins. And second, Michael's partner had the best story. We really got to know them throughout the episode, while we heard a lot less from Ginger's partner. And this is something that you might see with other makeover challenges as we go through this list. Think about Candy Muse from All Stars 8. She had a great makeover, but her partner really had a great story, and that's why they won the challenge. For this case, I'm not mad that Michael won, but Ginger was the clear winner in my book. It's hard to imagine today, but Pandora Boxx was the fan favorite during the early period of Drag Race. For the first few seasons, Pandora was the queen that everyone was obsessed with. During her run on the 2nd season of Drag Race, she was known as sort of the Susan Lucci of drag, that being the queen who was always in the top but was never given the win. She had the amazing, memorable Snatch Game and was a lovable underdog personality. I don't think the judges were anticipating just how big of a fan favorite Pandora would end up being when they were filming the season. When the Makeover Challenge came around, we were at the top 5 and the writing was kind of on the wall for Pandora. For this makeover, the queens had to make over older men and turn them into their drag mothers. Then they had to perform a lip-sync duet together. This is where Raven had the kind of iconic moment of her picking up her makeover partner and carrying them off the stage, which would be the reason she ended up winning the challenge. And while Raven did great, and this was a sweet moment, Pandora had 2 distinct looks that truly read mother-daughter. Their lip-sync performance was the best as well, and with her partner really getting into it in a way that none of the other contestants did, I think Pandora deserved the win here. Had she won this challenge, I venture to believe she wins the whole season, instead of actually going home this episode. Can you imagine Pandora Boxx in the Drag Race winner's circle? What a different timeline that would be. And I just want to say, can you believe there was an episode of Drag Race that was judged by Cloris Leachman and Debbie Reynolds? Those are extra special guest judges. The All Stars 4 Makeover Challenge is mostly known for Naomi Smalls' fantastic makeover, which was one of, if not the best, makeover in Drag Race history. For this makeover, the queens had to transform their best friends into their own drag sisters in the Best Judy challenge. The other winner of the challenge, other than Naomi, was Monet Exchange, who turned two kind of okay looks. Monet went the more traditional route by having two nearly identical looks and styling them the same. But for someone who's known for their amazing mug, she painted her makeover partner to look like she had just risen from Elvira's crypt. If there was any queen who was made to do an amazing makeover, it's Trinity the Tuck. And she served a great makeover during Season 9 and elevated that on All Stars 4. Her skills as a seamstress and as a trained pageant queen, Trinity was always going to do well during the makeover. And while I love Monet, Trinity had a clear point of view that read Trinity the Tuck in a way that it didn't for Monet. The episode ended up with both Naomi and Monet eliminating Manila, but Trinity said from the start that she was going to eliminate based on track record. If Trinity somehow ended up beating Naomi, if she was placed in the top in that lip sync, which I know is unlikely, but hey, it could happen, she probably would have sent home Latrice, and then Manila probably goes on to win the season. That's a butterfly effect for you. Here's your wild spear hot take for this list, but I have the 6th most robbed makeover challenge being Yarlexis on All Stars 1. For All Stars 1, the queens had to make over celebrities, or daughters of celebrities that is, into a girl group and perform a lip sync in front of a live audience. Maybe I'm biased on this one because I was rooting for Yara and Alexis to win All Stars 1, but I think that their pop star makeover of Kelly Osbourne was the best of the group. The resemblance that Yarlexis were able to create with Kelly Osbourne was the best of the group, and her look was miles better than that we saw on Team Shad and Team Rujubee. Kelly Osbourne was also the biggest celebrity going into this challenge, so I think they had the biggest task to make sure that they were able to live up to Kelly's reputation. And while the winners of Chad and Chanel did a fine job of making over their partner and had an okay lip sync, I truly think Yarlexis were able to turn the crowd on with their amazing performance and their amazing makeover. I think this probably birthed the celebrity drag race makeover challenge that they do these days because of how amazing the Yarlexis were able to transform Kelly Osbourne here. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Season 1 is one of my favorite seasons of Drag Race. There's something about the newness, the rawness, that just makes it a whole different experience. They were just trying to figure out what worked when they didn't even know if the show would be successful. And with this newness, this was the first time that we ever saw one of our favorite challenges, the Makeover Challenge. And just like today, the Makeover Challenge was the most controversial of the season. Here the queens had to make over female fighters and transform them into members of their drag family. The winner of this challenge was none other than the villain of the season, Rebecca Glasscock. Rebecca had been starting drama with everyone on the cast, to BB, to Chanel, to everyone else, and the producers were salivating at the thought of Chanel winning a challenge. When the Makeover Challenge came around, they saw the perfect opportunity to do just that. Armed with 2 unbrushed wigs and 2 black cocktail dresses, Rebecca waltzed to the winning position, beating the likes of Nina Flowers, BB Zahara Benet, Angina, and Chanel. This was the first time I remember seeing the fandom blow up over a judging result. They ran over to Facebook to make it known just how they felt. The true winner of this challenge, in my opinion though, was Chanel. She put together 2 outfits that weren't identical, but they were clearly from the same family. Her makeover partner was by far the most confident as well, and Chanel truly let her shine. For somebody with as iconic of a personality and iconic of a style as Chanel, this was the perfect opportunity for her to showcase that, and she did just that. Chanel is one of the queens whose looks from season 1 still stack up 15 years later. Even if her All Stars 9 looks aren't always amazing, you look at her season 1 package and you'll see what I mean. This was the catalyst for Chanel's "I don't want to be here anymore" speech that we got the very next episode. The judges broke Chanel. Maybe she was the original Jan, and she truly is an icon of Drag Race. When I was first thinking about creating this list, the makeover that I thought about was Miss Vanjie's makeover of Ariel Versace on season 11. Vanjie had been struggling throughout the competition, but this was truly her moment where she was going to shine, and she did. But she ended up losing to Brooklyn Heights, somebody who had already had a bunch of wins in the competition so far. Miss Vanjie had been read the entire season for her looks and for kind of phoning it in and just relying on her personality. This was a challenge where the queens had to make over previously eliminated queens, and Vanjie was somebody who kind of had drama with people on the season. However, this didn't stop her from taking Ariel's look and transforming it into a nearly identical representation of Miss Vanjie. Brooklyn's looks, on the other hand, were fine. They were similar, they looked great together, but they didn't truly create a family resemblance in the way that Miss Vanjie did. And maybe I'm breaking my rule because these looks are very similar, but with slight differences. But take a look at the family resemblance here. There was nobody on that stage that could match Miss Vanjie and Ariel. This is one of those cases where I just don't think I'll ever understand why the judges did what they did. But here we are, and 4 years later, Miss Vanjie was given a makeover win that maybe she didn't deserve. I guess here we are making up for it, years later. Most people probably would have this one a lot higher, but let me tell you why I have this one at number 3. Number 3 is the robbery of Crystal Method on Season 12. For Season 12's makeover, the queens had to make over unsuspecting superfans and transform them into their drag family. With her makeover partner Opal, Crystal Method completed one of, if not the best makeover in Drag Race history. The two looks weren't identical, but were clearly part of the same family. They also fit Crystal's aesthetic in such a great way. Crystal had been on the upswing through the second half of the competition, and this was the moment when she finally could have been rewarded for her growth. Instead, the win was given to Jada Essence Hall, and Crystal's redemption would have to peak the next episode. The reason I have Crystal here at number 3 is that she was given a ton of praise this episode, and rightfully so, but the look that beat her was also a pretty solid makeover. Jada went with the more traditional route of 2 gowns with similar styles and similar wigs, but they both looked stunning. While I would have given Crystal the win, and so would pretty much everyone else, Jada was a solid second place in this episode. This result just shows that the judges don't know what they want in a drag family resemblance. If you're watching the current season of Drag Race All-Stars, here's your spoiler warning. The second most robbed makeover challenge win was Jorgeous and Plastique's Firefighter makeover on season All-Stars 9. For All-Stars 9, the queens had to make over firefighters and turn them into members of a girl group, similar to what they did on season 1. The queens were paired up together and had to create a cohesive look between the 3 queens, and then serve a lip-sync performance. The winners were Miss Vanjie and Roxy, who had 3 cohesive looks that Roxy created, but their makeover partner was clearly the most uncomfortable in drag. You could tell that they were struggling to walk in heels, which honestly is fair, but the mug was also a bit too orange for their skin tone. Jorgeous and Plastique turned their firefighter into basically Megan Thee Stallion. The queens created 3 distinct looks that really looked like a girl group. They said they were inspired by the Powerpuff Girls, and honestly, I can see it. Something that they did that no other girl group did was let their makeover partner shine. When the guest judges can't even tell which queen is the contestant, then you know you did something right. And when a winning look was probably the worst look of the week, you know the judges did something wrong. Here, I was 2 weeks ago saying that Jorgeous robbed someone of a win with her design challenge win, but now here I am saying Jorgeous was robbed of a win. Oh, how the turntables. If you watch International Drag Race, you likely already know where this is going. the UK Makeover Challenge is just as rigged as the US one. And that's why at number 1, I have UK Series 1's Cheryl Hole Makeover. Going into the final 4, all the queens had at least 2 wins. All the queens with the exception of Cheryl Hole, that is. Cheryl was kind of the lovable loser during Series 1 of UK. She placed low or in the bottom 4 times throughout the competition and never placed above safe. Just the week prior, she sent Blue Hydrangea home. Going into the Makeover Challenge, she was the one we all sort of expected to go home. For this Makeover Challenge, the queens had to make over a member of their family. Cheryl is a fraternal twin with her sister and already had a leg up on the competition. Taking a look at her final look, it looks like she literally cloned herself. It's almost impossible to tell which one is Cheryl and which one is not. Their looks were similar, but a little bit different, and her makeover partner, her sister, was having the time of her life on stage with her. The winning look was Davina DeCampo, who I loved and I wanted to win the season at the time, but we could tell that really these 2 pregnant women in gowns were not serving the look that Cheryl was. The worst part was we knew that Cheryl was going to go home if she was in the bottom, and once she was placed in the bottom, Cheryl was sent home with the best makeover look of the week. And that's why I have Cheryl at number 1. And those are my top 9 most robbed design challenge wins. What do you think? Did I miss any? Or are there any things that you disagree with on my list? Let me know in the comments and check out more stuff here on Wild Spear.